Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. Of course, I'm currently catching up on 2023 films I missed, in between different franchise catch-up reviews I gotta do, like Dune and Godzilla, and so on and so on. So, here's a movie here that was super controversial when it came out back last year in 2023. It's been on Prime free to watch, if you remember, for probably a month now, and I just kept passing it up for whatever reason. I don't know why. Now, I desperately wanted to see this. I wanted to see it in theaters and never got a chance to, but the fact that everybody in the entertainment industry, Hollywood, the media, everybody hated this movie so much told me everything I needed to know. I'm surprised they haven't went after Godzilla Minus One, or really any other film that was a lower budget indie film like Infinity Pool that may have not made a ton of money, but was better than most things coming out last year in 2023. One of the worst years ever for films, not just because of the strikes, but just in general, a really bad year for content, games, books, movies, all of it. So, this little film here is called The Sound of Freedom. The Sound of Freedom was based on a true story about a man named Tim Ballard, I believe is his name if I'm getting it correctly. He's played by Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Many of you already know all of this. And this film is about sex trafficking, or just human trafficking in general, but it's specifically a lot of the time about children being trafficked, and a lot of the things Tim Ballard had to do. I didn't know anything about Tim Ballard, never heard his name until the media started threatening the guy and trashing him and everybody else in the whole planet the last few years, but especially last year when it came to this movie, how much they trashed him. Tim Ballard saved even more people than what he saved in this film, which was incredible. He wasn't just a Christian man, and this is a film coming from a Christian studio too, but it has cursing in it. It's very realistic in its depiction of people who deal with these kinds of topics and these kinds of jobs, who have to rescue children from these horrific evil bastards out there who do these sex trafficking things like Epstein and all these other fucks out there. Let me tell you, I have a lot of harsh opinions about sex trafficking and just child trafficking, all of that. Personally, I believe if you're caught involved with it at all, I think you should be put to death. I really do, and I firmly believe that. And I believe everybody who is against this film in the sense of its subject matter, not so much its execution, but the people against it, are probably people in Hollywood and whatever that go along with it. With all the shit that we've seen in recent years, again, with Epstein, Weinstein, all these people involved with this crap is insane. It really is. And I personally believe that Sound of Freedom has been misjudged by assholes and by shills. It's been blamed for a lot of things, and it's unfair. Sound of Freedom, personally, in my opinion, when it comes to the depictions, the execution of, with its small budget, again, just like Godzilla Minus One having a smaller budget than almost anything that came out from Hollywood in America last year, the love that was put into this film and its performances, its music, everything, Sound of Freedom is absolutely incredible. One of the best movies to come out last year in 2023. My personal favorite film from last year, even at this moment, I think is Gran Turismo. But when it comes to, I guess, biopics or anything, Sound of Freedom is just impeccable. I'm going to be honest with you. Let me tell you something. 20 minutes into this film, it had me crying. 20 minutes in, and I'm not the type who always bawls and stuff, but movies sometimes can hit me in an area that really, really gets me. Two of my favorite films of all time, my personal favorites of all time, are It's a Wonderful Life and Donnie Darko. Every time I watch those two, I cry. I can't help it. But Sound of Freedom is now one of those films I can add to that list of films that crush my soul. This is a heavy film. It's not an MCU type of film dumping humor every other line, trying to give you some levity. There is no levity. The entire 2-hour and 10-minute runtime is filled, with desperation. It filled itself with gravity and density, something that most movies don't have that anymore. And they hate this shit. And I think it was made like 5 years ago. Disney owned the rights to it. They held on to it deeply. I think eventually Amazon bought it from Disney. I'm not sure how that all worked out. But eventually it did get a release. The company had to struggle its ass off to get this movie out there. And it is one of the best movies I've seen in the last 5 or 10 years, I would say. I love it. I love it deeply. I think it's one of the most impactful films that I've ever seen culturally. I think that people really talked about this subject a lot after this movie came out. Not even so much the movie itself. The media was trashing the movie. The media, the shills on YouTube, everybody were ignoring it, trying to not give it any praise or love, and it totally deserved it. It doesn't feel like a low-budget film. It doesn't feel like a movie you'd get from the Christian bookstore, even though it's coming out of a Christian company. It's not like that. It's filled with so much passion And it upset me so bad last night. I think I cried through most of it, to be honest with you. My wife looked over at one point. She didn't realize that's what was going on with this. And it's just a rescue movie. And Jim Caviezel kind of leading that charge to go overseas and try to rescue people by these specific ways. It's almost like that movie Argo that Ben Affleck made a few years back that I think even won Best Picture. But Sound of Freedom hit me in ways that Argo never did. You know what I mean? Argo was okay for what it was. It was well made. I love Ben Affleck. But it ain't got shit on Sound of Freedom, to be honest with you. Very different subject matters, mind you. But for that to win Best Picture versus something like this not even getting a nomination this year, tells you how bad the Oscars are and tells you how bad Hollywood is and the media and everybody else. Sound of Freedom crushed me. It totally, I mean completely crushed me. And I'm somebody who has a lot of firm beliefs about this whole topic that I'm very militant about my opinions on it because it involves children and because it involves just human beings in general that God made and crafted and loves, you know? It is horrific. It's not a film with a lot of brutality or anything like that. It's just the gravity, again, and the tension in the filmmaking that just grounds this movie in a way that most movies don't have anymore. And it's upsetting. It's really upsetting. If you don't have some kind of tearful reaction watching this film, you need to go to a doctor. There's something wrong with you. There has to be something wrong with you. Sound of Freedom was amazing. I loved every minute of it. I think every scene, every shot, all of it was just filled with love and passion and hope out there for people who need it. It has motivation for people out there, even like people like myself that feel like we can't do anything to help this situation. It has so much going for it, and I love it, and I don't care that I cried through most of it. It is just impeccable. And again, even down to the music was wonderful in it. If you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, you're missing out. It is so horrific with nothing graphic on screen, just everything implied in certain scenes, the way they cut scenes together. It's just shocking and upsetting. Deeply. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, without the attempt to keep repeating myself over and over again for 2 hours, Sound of Freedom, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I cannot give myself a peace of mind if I didn't give this a 5 out of 5-star rating. It's one of the best movies in years. It's one of the best biopics, however we call it, in years. It's just magnificent. And again, you need to give yourself the chance to watch it. And if you have Prime, it's free to watch right now. That's incredible. That's a great deal. I will be buying this for my physical media collection. I think it deserves it. It's just so great. It's not going to be a consistent watch, but I can easily see this being one of those films that every part of the world's movie-making industry will make it impossible to get your hands on this in the future, with the future of constant, always-online DRM streaming and whatnot. Anyway, have you seen Sound of Freedom? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about this incredible, shocking, upsetting movie down in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.